What really happened on that stage? Why did thousands of fans leave Dolby Live last night in complete shock, whispering that they had just witnessed something they would never forget? And most importantly, what secret did Bruno Mars finally reveal when the lights dimmed, the music paused, and the entire arena held its breath? This is not just another concert story. This is about the night Bruno Mars broke every rule, tore down every expectation, and turned the stage into a confession booth, a battlefield, and a moment in history all at once. If you think you've seen Bruno Mars at his peak, last night at Dolby Live will make you question everything. But before we dive into the truth that everyone is still talking about, don't forget hit that subscribe button right now. Give this video a big thumbs up, share it with your friends, and let us know in the comments what you think about Bruno Mars after what happened last night. Trust me, you'll want to be part of this conversation. The night started like any other legendary Bruno Mars show in Las Vegas. The line outside Dolby Live was endless, buzzing with fans wearing silk shirts, glitter jackets, and fedora hats in tribute to their idol. People expected the usual tight choreography, golden vocals, and that smooth charm only Bruno Mars can deliver. But from the very first note, something felt different. When the curtain rose, Bruno didn't immediately launch into his signature groove. Instead, the stage was soaked in shadows, with only one spotlight beaming down on him. His band, the Hooligans, stood silent behind him. The arena was quiet in a way no Vegas concert had ever been. Fans leaned forward, sensing that something was about to break. Then Bruno Mars spoke. His voice cracked not with weakness, but with weight. He told the crowd, "Tonight, you're not just going to dance. Tonight, you're going to hear the truth." From that moment, Dolby Live wasn't just a concert hall anymore. It became a theater of raw emotion. Bruno Mars began weaving stories between stories about the sacrifices he had made, the loneliness that followed him despite the glitter of success, and the hidden battles he fought behind the scenes. Every time he sang, the lyrics felt different, as if they carried secrets we never caught before. When he performed "When I Was Your Man," his voice shook, not in pitch, but in pain. He wasn't just revisiting an old heartbreak, he was reliving it right there, with thousands of witnesses. The cameras were banned inside, and for good reason. This wasn't a performance meant for social media clips. It was a confession, a once-in-a-lifetime unraveling of Bruno Mars, not the superstar, but the man behind the fedora. But then came the part that made jaws drop across the arena. As the lights dimmed again, Bruno Mars stood center stage, stripped of his band, stripped of his dancers, stripped of everything but a single microphone. He leaned forward and whispered, "I've been holding this back for too long." The music stopped. The crowd was dead silent. And Bruno revealed something no one expected. He confessed that for years he had been hiding pain behind his smile, that the industry had tried to shape him into something he wasn't, and that every night on stage, he felt both alive and trapped. He admitted that the Bruno Mars people thought they knew was only a fraction of the man he truly was. The audience gasped, some fans even cried. This was the Bruno Mars they had never seen before, not the entertainer, but the human. And then, in a move that no one saw coming, he sang an unreleased song, a raw, haunting ballad that he had never shared with the world. A song that sounded like a letter to himself. The lyrics cut like glass, painting a picture of struggle, survival, and rebirth. It was so personal that fans swore they felt his tears falling through every note. From that moment, the energy shifted. The crowd went from stunned silence to roaring applause, not because of the spectacle, but because of the vulnerability. Bruno Mars had given them something more powerful than fireworks, lights, or choreography. He had given them truth. And then he did what Bruno Mars does best: he turned pain into celebration. The lights exploded back to life, the horns blasted, and he launched straight into Uptown Funk, with a vengeance that made Dolby Live shake to its foundation. Fans screamed, danced, and cried all at once. It was as if Bruno had led them through darkness only to explode into the brightest light imaginable. This wasn't just a concert anymore. It was a story, a journey of confession, healing, and triumph. When the show finally ended, people didn't rush out like they usually do. They stayed. They hugged strangers, They looked at each other with wide eyes, whispering, "Did that really just happen?" Outside Dolby Live, fans were still buzzing at midnight, calling friends, flooding fan forums, trying to put into words what they had just witnessed. But how do you describe a night where Bruno Mars stopped being a superstar and became something bigger, something more human? Social media exploded within hours. Though phones had been banned, words traveled fast. Hashtags about Bruno Mars lit up timelines. Fans wrote that they had never seen a performance so raw, so unfiltered, so unforgettable. And the biggest question everyone asked was, will he ever do it again? Or was this a once-in-a-lifetime moment? So what really happened on that stage at Dolby Live last night? Bruno Mars didn't just sing. He didn't just perform. He revealed himself. He tore down the walls between artist and audience, between superstar and human being. It was the night Bruno Mars finally showed the world the truth, and the truth was more powerful than any beat, any lyric, or any spotlight could ever capture. And now, fans are left with one haunting thought. If this is just the beginning of Bruno Mars revealing who he truly is, what could possibly come next? But here's the thing, when the house lights came back on at Dolby Live, nobody moved. The ushers were ready to guide the audience out. But instead, people stayed frozen in their seats, almost as if they were waiting for Bruno Mars to come back one more time. Some fans were crying, others were holding their phones even though they couldn't record, just gripping them like anchors, desperate to capture the memory in their minds before it faded. Bruno Mars had disappeared behind the curtains, but his presence lingered. His voice was still echoing in people's ears, his honesty still cutting into their hearts. And for many, this wasn't just entertainment, it was revelation. They didn't just witness a concert, they witnessed a man stripping away the myth and giving them his soul. What was most shocking was not just the confession, not just the unreleased song, but the silence he left behind. Bruno Mars had always been about spectacle, but last night, silence became the loudest sound in the room. It was silence that forced people to look inward, to ask themselves, what am I hiding? What truth have I buried inside me? The way Bruno Mars had buried his. By the time fans poured out into the Las Vegas night, the city lights felt different. The neon signs outside Dolby Live blinked, but they didn't outshine what had happened inside. Fans rushed to nearby cafes and hotel lobbies, still buzzing, still trying to find the right words. Some described it as a spiritual experience. Others said it felt like Bruno Mars had spoken directly to them, like he had read their own struggles and set them to music. One fan, holding a crumpled ticket stub, said through tears, "I thought I was coming to sing and dance. I didn't know Bruno Mars was going to heal me tonight." Another fan, still trembling, whispered, "That song he sang, it felt like he wrote it for me. I don't even know how to explain it." Social media may not have had videos, but it had words that spread like wildfire. Within hours, hashtags like #Bruno at Dolby Live, #Bruno Mars Truth, and #unreleased song were trending. Fans who weren't there begged for details, while those who were there insisted, you had to be in the room. You just can't understand unless you felt it. And that's what made the night legendary. It wasn't about replay value. It wasn't about streaming clips later. It was about being there. It was about being one of the chosen few who saw. Bruno Mars finally unveiled a man behind the myth. If you were moved by this story, don't let it end here. Hit that subscribe button right now. Give this video a like, share it with your friends who love Bruno Mars, and drop a comment below. What do you think Bruno was really trying to tell the world last night? Do you think this is the start of a new Bruno Mars era? Stay tuned, because if last night proved anything, it's that with Bruno Mars, the truth is always bigger than the music.